We rolled it. Hi, welcome back for yet another episode of the DMTales TTRPG book club. And oh, I just noticed that the border that I put on is like for all the things that's really cool. Had an ADHD moment. Anyway, tonight we're doing TTRPG book club. We're doing episode 3, book 2, and we're talking about Pirate Borg, and we've got some new faces for the panel this month. Let's introduce them right now. So we're really excited to have on, first off, someone who should have been on the last panel but begged off and is now coming on to this panel. We have one Elise. Her official title is Awesome GM, which she had nothing to do with. I put that on her thing for her.
Hi.
Elise, you can be seen at conventions all around the Philadelphia area, right?
Yes.
So what all are you involved with?
I will be at, well, uh, Concoction in, of course, EcclesiaCon's coming
Yeah, I
up.
was about to say.
EcclesiaCon, Concoction, Page 2027. Those are the big ones. And some smaller ones that I can't remember right now.
And
Apologies.
what are some of the cool games you're going to be running at EcclesiaCon next weekend, May 1st and 2nd?
Next weekend, I'll be running Pirate Borg and Pearls and Princesses, which is a really cool game.
Yes, and everybody who's in your Perils and Princesses gets what?
They get a tiara if they want one.
Yes, no, there's no if they want one. There's just they get a tiara. That's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you for being on tonight, because I know you are the only one who has run Pirate Borg that is in this, and Eric is here in chat. That's great. So I'm glad that you are here also as a GM who is really, you're in your first year of GMing
Yes,
and
very new.
have run for industry luminaries, which I find absolutely
I
hysterical.
know.
And are just really having a blast with the hobby. I'm really glad to have you on here tonight. And also on tonight is the one, the only Alpha Dean. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. It's good to be here. Thank you all for having me on tonight. Um, as far as who I am, I'm just a big lover of RPGs and games. Used to be a personality on the Cypher Unlimited area, and if you want to know anything about Cypher, that is still the best place to go. I'm always around talking about stuff. I'm in the middle of a backer kit with my field games for Mega Dungeon Month, and I have a adventure adjacent to it, which will actually introduce my September at Legacy, which I will be crowdfunding later this year. Um, and the September at Legacy is going to be neo mythic Afropunk, which is the combination of wuxia, Afrofuturism, pulp, and with a superhero twist, little layers of anime and stuff like that. So all the things that I enjoy kind of all mashed up into one in order to make a greatly fun world to explore in. But tonight we're here to talk about Pirate Borg.
I'm looking forward to September at Legacy, though. You've been talking about it for years, so I'm excited to for it to come to reality. But yes, we are talking about Pirate Borg tonight, which is kind of one of the new hotnesses on the scene, new-ish hotness. They've done an expansion, so it's not entirely new now. And our inveterate or intrepid, there you go. Our intrepid leader is Jason. So he's going to be running the conversation for the rest of the time. So have fun and let's take away the conversation on Pirate Borg, this really interesting conversation.
All right, cool. Glad to see everybody in the house,
Yeah, drunk.
inside and outside, talking about Pirate Borg. Pirate Borg, game in the Borg line, like Morgborg. Can I just slur that because I don't know how to actually pronounce it?
Is it, how
More.
is it pronounced? Is Mori Bori or
Yeah, but it's Mura, and then I don't know the lat. I don't know if is it Morg. I figure
I
if
don't
I
know.
slur, I mean, I got a Boston accent. It's gonna sound horrible no matter what I do. Anyway, Pirate Borg, a Borg-style pirate game by Limithron. By the way, Limithron didn't pay us. We received no compensation. And also, even though we're on Wes's channel, he's not responsible for anything me, Dean, or Elise say. So don't, throw tomatoes at Wes when you see him. It's just us.
You can blame me, it's fine.
So the
So,
internet, So the internet said it's actually pronounced Merc.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
M-U-R.
Merc
I've heard that.
Border,
Merc.
right?
Yeah, Merc Borg. So
yeah. I heard everything when it
Thanks for
was
becoming
first
a member,
released.
Aljamonk.
There you
So,
go. All right.
yay.
So, Pirate Borg, what else can I say? It's everything pirate. It's piratey. We'll talk shortly about the starter set because I think Elise and I have that, and it's awesome. It looks great. But for now, we're going to be doing a read through review type thing of the core book. So let's see. I will start with Wes, and we're going to.
Yes, sir.
I'll ask you each to bring up something you are dying to talk about, something you'd object to, something you would love to point out, something you absolutely love, whatever, you know.
Well, I should bring my notes up app where I took all my thoughts down. That would be a good idea, wouldn't it?
Don't make me
So,
skip you, Wes.
okay, here's the two things that I really loved about. I'm cheating, and we're going to talk about layout a little bit later. I thought the roll tables in the book were really well done. And I like when you go back to like my older reviews, it's one of the things I'm always looking at is how they laid out the tables. And they kept the really cool like 90s underground zine rock motif for the tables, but they're actually really readable. But I love it. It's just like just roll a die and read across the line, or roll like 5D whatever, and then you can just go through and build this weird stuff. And the one that really nailed me on it was the alchemy table. I thought that was really, really well done. But the other thing is, I have always been intimidated by ship to ship combat. And the closest I got to one that I really thought I might be able to run is in Low Fantasy Gaming. And I can't even remember if it's actually included in Tales of Argoso, the follow up one. But the ship to ship combat in Pirate Borg is dead simple, and it's really dynamic, and it just looks like it would be a blast to both play and run. So those are two things that I was reading through the book, and I took that away, and I was like, this is really cool. So this is a game I really want to play at some point.
I absolutely. I am not a tables person, but I know others in the room are, so you guys can talk about that. But I love the ship to ship combat. I think I will import this to any other game, which, you know, with some modifications. But yeah, it's great.
Who's going next, Jason? You're the one running the conversation.
Well, if Elise or Dean want to comment on your topics, we can do that.
well, I would like to say as far as the ship-to-ship combat, it is absolutely simple and very straightforward, which makes it, quick, and it keeps the game flowing. It doesn't break immersion, even though we are, rolling dice and using a mechanic. It really keeps the flavor going. So I like that aspect.
Cool.
Um, yeah, And I'll talk about tables when it's my turn to talk, because I am kind of a tables guy, even though I'm not a tables guy at the same time. It's kind of one of those weird things.
Uh, if it's okay, I comment
Go for it.
also about the ship to ship combat. It's a great way to get everybody involved because everybody has a part to play in it, and that's really why I love the whole game, is because you can't just not be involved in what's going on.
Yeah, can
That's
you explain
great.
that? Because you've run the system, and I know a little bit, but can you explain like how crew actions work and how PCs work in ship-to-ship combat? Because I think that's something that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Well, gee. um, the funny thing is, I haven't actually run the naval part, and this is going to be part of my commentary, because a convention play, there's so much content, and I have just had to skip the naval stuff.
Oh no!
Just to make sure that the story gets done.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
something, but I really love the naval, so I'm going to try and figure out, like, make it shorter or something like that. But basically, each ship that's in combat has their own stats, and there's a captain. The captain can move a certain number of there's stats tells you how that how much you can move. The
Mm-hmm.
captain moves, turns, and then everybody has a part. You could shoot. Somebody can shoot broadsides, musket fire. They can keep moving. There's a whole and a really handy reminder list of what things you can do. So basically,
Mm-hmm.
everybody gets a turn to do something.
That's cool.
Yeah. It
Yeah, I
is
was
really well done.
wondering. Right, this isn't fair because you haven't run it yet. But what I'm wondering is, because you're talking about it draws everybody into the game, everybody has a part to play. I wonder if you were designing an adventure for a con, like for new players. I wonder if it would be cool to start out with a naval combat, like, you don't meet in a tavern, you meet on a ship that's under fire,
What
Oh
and
yeah,
just see.
yes.
what page is that you're on, Jason?
That's
That's
me.
not
I'm on.
me.
It's on page 7475.
Okay, I just want to go. I just want to be on the same page that we are,
Yeah,
looking at.
yeah.
But I was going to say, in that respect, that would be absolutely awesome to start a situation like that. And what I like about it is the fact, like we said before, every person is involved. So you have people that you could have somebody who's in charge of the, broadside firing of the cannons, and then another
Mm-hmm.
guy who is dealing with, their skirmishers. So the guys with the muskets. You got somebody else who might wants to lead the group that's going to swing across and siege the boat. It has all those elements, but it's all very simplistically done. Reading through it, I can see how can be useful, for just about for any game. And I mean, a few other games did versions of this, but it's a little bit more complicated. Like the Star Trek game does something like that for
Yeah.
space
Yeah.
combat and stuff like that. But more, or should I say, Pirate Borg, uh, basically put everything in a nice little wrapper that allows you to do it quick and on the fly, quick assignment to a specific type of you know position on the ship when it's in ship
Mm-hmm.
to ship combat, and we're off to the races.
Yeah.
So
This spread is basically the rules.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. It's pretty impressive.
All
yeah,
right,
yeah,
let's tag in Elise and see what fabulous, interesting, something that drives you nuts. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I've always loved the whole pirate mythology, but when I picked up the book, it's just a beautiful book. The
Hmm.
artwork is just spectacular, and it's sort of like, if I was going to give an elevator pitch, it's like Pirates of the Caribbean
Hmm.
mixed with Army of Darkness with just a dash of Muppets Treasure Island.
Nice.
That's what I love about it. You can have so much fun, and there's a lot of people can really lean into the characters, and use the kind of like eccentricities of the characters, and really the role playing aspect is great. So that's sort of like, I just love, and the whole gothic, it's very dark, kind of gothic look to it. See on that page right there.
Yeah.
It just rings all my bells. Gothic horror, that's my thing, and on in an ocean atmosphere, I just love it.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah. It's
100%
very, very
with you on
cool.
Gothic horror. I'm steeped in pirate lore, any more than, I read Treasure Island as a kid and I saw Pirates of the Caribbean. It's my favorite ride at Disney. But I don't consider myself like a big pirate fan, so I was wondering if any of you are seriously like, I'm dying to play a pirate game. Like, does this satisfy that, or?
I have grown on pirates over the years. I remember when I first saw Pirates of the Caribbean, I didn't like it because it just felt like it went on and on and on and
The
on and
first
on.
movie.
The first movie. The
Yeah, yeah.
second two movies did go on and on and on and on. But the first movie, I didn't like. The first time I saw it, I just didn't care for it. And then I think it was like the second year Jen and I were married, it was on cable and she had gone to bed and I turned it on and I was like, why didn't I like this?
Yeah.
Like I couldn't understand. And so I'm not like a big, like, I want pirates. When this came out, immediate was like, I want to do an adventure where you meet at a tavern and the rum is gone and you have to go find the rum. Like, that's what I wanted to do. Pirate Borg, I can do that,
Hmm.
but it is very gothic. So I'd have to be dodging a little bit of that. You can't quite easily do lighthearted, but you can reskin anything in it if you really want to. So it's there's something very well done about it
Cool.
that it kind of captures your attention and draws you in. So yeah, I definitely want to play this at the very least.
Nice.
Great. Dean, what do you want to talk about first?
Well, let's talk about as a whole. It's
Yep.
the Borg series of things. It's just the way they do it. They lean heavily into atmosphere, into storytelling. The thing about the Borg titles, if you know anything about them, they're all going to be darker than you're expecting. They're fatalistic. You
Mhm.
Yeah.
know, I, I kind of like when oh my god, I'm terrible. When Elise gave her thing, because it just took me to how I look at most of the board games, or if I was going to look at Pirate Board, I would have called it. I would have said it was like a doomed metal album from the '80s on a haunted ocean, and you got a bottle of gunpowder rum sitting next to
Mm-hmm.
you. This is like every this is what it is. And I'm huge on storytelling, and I'm huge on atmosphere. So
Nice.
Yes.
that it does in spades. The reason why I like charts is because I love randomization. You know,
Mhm.
because I want to tell organic stories versus, putting everybody on a specific rail and having them, try to push them down this road. So if we use charts and stuff like that, that random nature comes out. It tests me as a GM because it makes me like dig into my repertoire and
Mm-hmm.
have to figure out how I'm going to, stitch these ideas together. But then the other side of the coin is because the players have their own investments, the players give me even more. So they buy into it and we build this narrative together. And I think I enjoy that more than I enjoy anything.
Yeah, it's very appealing from that perspective. Very much so.
Cool.
So
Oh, I guess that leaves me.
that leaves
Uh,
you.
I will surprise no one and talk a little bit about the design. As we said, this falls into the Borgish thing, which for me, I guess if you're old enough, it brings it into that zine aesthetic. So
Hmm.
say anywhere from late 70s to early 90s, zines were like a self-published magazine, right? It would typically be a letter size, fold it in half. You'd staple it. You have to buy the extra big staples to be able to do it yourself. You'd hack it together on a copy machine,
Mm-hmm.
and you would use it like glue sticks and found, lettering and art and things like that. And if you're a type nerd like me, you use a lot of like zip tone and press type, and that's what this feels like. And it is. I like this because it is right in line with that aesthetic that you would see in other board games like more
Mm-hmm.
Borg. But you still get gritty font choices, but the font choices are antique metal type fonts. So they feel like this could have been printed in the late
Yeah.
1700s, early 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got a gritty atmosphere, but you're using different like styles than you would have in a fantastic one or a sci-fi or cyberpunk or something. I like that a lot.
It
Yeah.
fits the genre really well.
But
Yeah.
it
Go ahead,
does.
Dean.
I mean, if you think about it, I mean, the way I like to, describe it, I was describing it to a friend of mine, and I told him, I said, think about Pirate Board like surviving stylishly in a dying world. You
Yeah.
know, you get to play a cutthroat, a cursed sailor, a haunted captain, drunken prophets, half dead deckhands.
Yep.
Basically people who should not be trusted with any ship or be anywhere, but
Yeah.
somehow, some way, you weave these great stories. The fact that character creation is quick, I like
Mm-hmm.
the high lethality. I love the lethality of it, because this gives you time to explore more characters. Um,
This is true.
Yep.
I mean, I call it like chaos storytelling. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
minimal rules but maximum flavor. So
It's my chaos adventures.
Yeah.
You were on one of those. You bribed a goblin. Yeah, it fits the genre perfectly. One thing I thought was really interesting because the Borg series is, for those who don't know, when Morkborg or Merkbury or however you pronounce it came out, it was literally designed to break every layout rule possible. Like that was its design goal. So much so that it was a beautiful book with a whole lot of flavor, and they actually created a plain PDF because people were like, "This is really cool. I can't read it. Can you?" Like, I like to look at it, but I can't read it. Luke really kind of split the difference with this. So there are pages which are very stylized, semi difficult to read, and then there's other pages where it's got all the flavor to it, but it's still very much you can read the text. And I read it two different ways. So the first way I read it is I literally put the PDF on my Kobo, and I read it in color e-ink. And it worked pretty well. I had to zoom in a little bit because a lot of text is really, really small. But that's the way I read about 2/3 of the book, and it was fun. And I got to tell you, the second third of the book, I stuck it up on my 32-inch 4K display, and put it up two up, so it was displayed like it would be in the print book. And man, those two up spreads with like the artwork spanning both pages of the spread and the text in it, if you have the print book, it's awesome. But man, if you can get that PDF and throw it up two up, so the pages are side by side in the right order on a big screen, it is a work of art. It was so enjoyable, and I kept on like, I was like, I'll do it in a window. I'm like, no, wait a minute. And then I finally got a full screen, and I was like,
Yeah.
this is amazing. And it was, that really is what sold it for me, is when I saw it that way. It was really cool.
I think that's true. It's as much an art book as it is a rule book. For better or worse, it might. I mean, that's the aesthetic you're buying into with any of these type of
Sure,
games. For instance, the core book is 168 pages. There's a lot of blank space in there, right? Pages with where there's less than half a page of text. So if you wanted to be efficient with your layout, the book could have fit into, well, certainly 120 pages, maybe even less. But that's not what this is going
like
for.
Into the Odd. It really could
Yeah.
have been.
But see, I look at because they are minimalist in what they're trying to do with their books
Yeah.
in general. They're actually, that minimalist, even on the page, is actually adding to the aesthetic, and they're
Sure.
bringing you in, they're drawing you into their world through the artwork, and
You're right.
Yeah,
not
like,
through text.
Yeah.
This
You
is
know.
the roll table for sea shanties.
I love that.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, holy smokes. Like, that is beautiful. Now, if you're a person who is reading this with like an assisted reading device, that's a nightmare. So
I
don't
didn't
think
look
they've
for that. They might have a markdown version for
I
that.
don't
probably
think they
have
have. I don't think they have yet. I know
Yeah.
they were
Well,
considering it.
most of these games do end up, after they're out for a little while and
Yeah.
gain some traction, then they'll go get their markdowns and all of that, because we do want, access
Yeah.
for everybody in our
Yeah.
game.
But
But
holy smokes, is that beautiful?
but what you're saying though there, but their first audience, they're trying to be Merc Borg, and if you look at Merc Borg from its time, it was the same way. It
Yep.
told more of a story with the visuals, and then with the words that they did use on those charts and stuff, all kind of like draw you in even further.
Yep.
I think it's a brilliance in design.
Yeah.
Yep.
I did get to meet Luke and some of these guys at PAX East. They seem really cool.
You know, Jorba just says when he played with Tyler, Luke's brother, that he sang one of the sea shanties during the game.
That's
'Cause
the
apparently
sea
they're all
shanty
real
is
sea
my
shanties.
the sea shanty table is my favorite table of the book.
Yeah,
It's so
because it
great.
gives you things. It's not just making you sing. It could save your ship.
Right. Exactly.
And I
Yeah.
think there's a question. There's our real shanties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Spanish Ladies was sung in Jaws, actually.
Yes, it
Oh, you're
was.
right.
You're right. Yep. And
I
and here's
forgot.
and this is the other thing with Jason. You were saying earlier about not necessarily being into pirates. Well,
Yep.
I know you remember the era of ninjas versus pirates.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, so I was heavily fighting for the ninjas, so I had to learn a lot about pirates as well. And I can say that with the way BORG is set up, the pirate BORG is set up, is that it leans more heavily into the reality of what the pirate life was like than,
Hmm.
say, let's say something a little more lighthearted, and so on and so forth. So there are some, spot on historical elements to this as well as just, great gothic, wrapping everything up in a gothic band-aid, So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
they did some research for it. They really did.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
did.
he's
He
done a
did a
lot of
lot.
research. Yeah.
So
All right, to move on, I'm going to take a page from Jake's book, Jake Paravox. In DMTales suggested that we talk about the book in major like systems. So things that people would care about if you're looking to buy this book, maybe. So first we will start with character creation, which I would say is just simple compared to a lot of other systems. It's a class-based system. You do have abilities. This is one of my favorite parts. You have ability scores, which are generated by 3d6, but you don't even worry about that. You use them to give yourself a modifier, and then you forget what you rolled. You just list your modifier, which, sorry, OSR people, I love that. A
no,
lot.
I love it too.
All right, so let me tag in somebody else. Oh, Wes, you just opened your mouth, so you're first. What do you
I'm
think about
first.
character creation?
Okay, for me, the simpler the character creation, the better. Which is one of the things I'm looking forward to in Cypher is having that simplified a little bit. But I love games like Into the Odd or Streamline Superheroes where you can grab people at a table. You don't need pre-gens because it takes 3 minutes to make a character. And this is the Pirate Board character sheet in the back of the book, and it literally has all the instructions to create your character in the book or in the sheet, and you just check off what you have. And then if you need to look up something, then you go look it up like the piece of equipment in the book. So it's literally got like your abilities for.
Oh no.
Oh no, we
What
lost our
happened?
fearless leader.
We lost you.
All right. Does that mean
Well,
we
Man
lost our
overboard.
stream? Let me see if we're still on. Okay. Um, well, Dean, you got to take over then. What did you think about character
well,
creation?
I can continue right from where Wes was at. I mean, what he was saying was that all the information to create your character is on a sheet right next to it.
Yep.
So it's like check off these boxes. It's very simplistic in the sense of getting something on the paper, but what I like about it in the same sense is though the way those charts and those things are, they have little bits of information
Right.
that can that should trigger or would hopefully trigger your creative nature to give your character some background. That you would have some meat on your bones. You're not just a set of statistics. And that's something about character creation I think is very, very just it's a good thing. I think
Right.
that should be more so built into most games, especially when you're bringing new players in. So, new players are getting uh, that same little push or perk so they can see what's going on. So that's my thing
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. What do you think, Elise?
Um, I well, I love it because it's so random. But I wouldn't suggest rolling them up at the table, especially at a con when you may have only 3 or 4 hours, because the players have to kind of figure out which class they want to belong to. They have to. The
Yes.
brute is easy; it's kind of a fighter. But the others, you kind of have to look at them a little bit to figure out what you want to do, and your character might die anyway within the first roll. So, and I always tell players like, don't feel too much attachment.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
And I don't know if we want to talk about specific ones, but the one class that I always had I had a little issue with was rapscallion. Not that I don't like it, it's just at first I couldn't understand it. But
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to say. So
What page is that one on?
What?
What page is Rapgallion on?
36 in the core book.
Yeah. So the core classes are Brute, and for me, they kind of map to traditional 5e Pathfinder classes. So a Brute, kind of like a Barbarian. Rapscallion, like your sneaky rogue. The Buccaneer is like a tracker and survivalist, usually good at ranged weapons. The Swashbuckler is sort of a typical fighter. The Zealot is, I guess, like a cleric. They tend to use rituals. And then Sorcerer, yeah. There are a couple of optional classes too, but those are the core ones. So you had trouble understanding which one, the Rapscallion?
Rapscallion. I understand how it works. It's just at the beginning, I was like, I don't understand the cards, the way it's laid out.
Yes,
I don't know if Wes can bring up.
Yeah, I'll bring
it
it
took me a
up.
little bit to figure that out.
Give me a second here. So this is one of the ones where the layout kind of failed because you really have to pay attention to where the numbers are for the cards.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's a roll table. There we go. And that's really what it is.
So the cards are sort of like a subclass, and you follow what that card tells you to do. And you may, in some cases, have to roll on the Joker's table, which is on the top right there.
Right.
Right here. See? Yep. And Jason, you were issues with the
the class I had questions with, because I don't mind them kind of mapping pretty closely to like traditional classes. It'll help in some ways. It can help players from other games get in, but I didn't understand the Buccaneer. The Buccaneer pretty closely tracks to a Ranger, and okay, it's a tracker and survivalist, yeah. But why are they good at ranged weapons? Aside from Rangers are good trackers and Rangers are good at ranged weapons, I couldn't find anything in the core fiction of the Buccaneer that they would be any better with bows than any other class. That seemed odd. Like, the only reason I'm doing this is to sort of tie it to D&D.
Well, for the Buccaneer, why are they there? Well, I'm trying to look at this. So on naval combat, back in the Age of Sail, you would have Marines, and their job would be to either board the ship or try to shoot out the rigging from other ships. So you kind of need a class that can take that role. So they went with the Buccaneer gets to do that. Right. I don't know how they're shooting long distance with the musket with the hook for a hand.
Here we go.
Go ahead, go.
Because it's just how Buccaneers, 17th century pirates and privateers operating in the Caribbean, originating from the hunters of Hispaniola, who smoked meat on wooden grills called bucans. Primarily escaped servants, soldiers, and longwood cutters, they became known for being able to hit target animals at great range. The primary motivation included wealth from plunder, revenge against Spain, and escaping strict colonial law. Thus, the Buccaneer were born.
Yeah.
So that kind of answers why
they're the lore.
These guys were the hunters. They were actually the providers and so on and so forth.
Right. There are two optional classes. One are called Tall Tales, which covers like merfolk and sort of humanoid animals. And there's also Haunted Souls. But actually, you know what? Does anybody want to tag in on anything related to classes? Otherwise, I'm going to move to Health and Death, because that'll tie in nicely.
No, I don't have anything else in the classes. I love how easy they go.
So what I thought was interesting is, and actually, Elise, I have a question here too. So when you there's an option here that when you die, when you drop below 0 hit points, the GM could let you, and I could see this happening maybe in a con game when somebody dies halfway through. Instead of just removing the character from the game and making a new character, you could potentially play that character as a haunted soul, like
Yes.
a ghost of your previous character. And I,
Yeah.
I, I don't know how that would work in the table because I haven't run it, but it sounds awesome.
It is fun, and actually, in one of the times I ran this, the crew died, all of them, TPK at the very end. So when at the end of the story, I like to say, well, what does your character do now? And I basically I resurrected them as zombies, and I said,
Right.
okay, what do your zombie forms do now? You know, it was really, they all, like, the big guy just, killed them
Right.
all.
Right.
So
That's
that
awesome.
was kind of fun. But
Um,
no, I haven't had anyone resurrect into something else yet. Surprisingly, when we talk about mechanics, you'll find out how it's a deadly game, but in a lot of ways, it's not that deadly. There's a lot that can save you. You'll
That's
talk
true.
about Devil's Luck, I'm sure. So
well, you got options. It's a game. It's a game, and I think that's what it's more important is that it's a game of options, and it
Mm-hmm.
allows you to tell your story however it needs to be told. I mean,
Yeah.
and that I think it's a good thing that death does not necessarily have to mean the end of your character, or I got to make a completely new character and try to inject them in here somehow. I can become something else.
Right.
I'll have a different set of rules that I have to operate by, but I'm still a part of the story. So
So the
that
question I wanted to ask Elise is this is on page 32. It talks about hit points in the core book.
Okay.
And every class has a different amount of hit points. That's cool. That makes sense. Your brute probably has more. But then there's on the left side of the page. Here's what happens if you go to 0 hit points. You're
yeah,
broken, and
yeah,
there's 6 results. If you go to negative hit points, you're
you're
dead,
dead.
or these other things that can happen. I
Yeah.
don't like based on other games. Does that ever happen? Like in most games with hit points, you almost never see somebody hit 0 exactly. Am I missing a mechanic?
Um, that's a good point.
Like
Yeah.
if you have 3 hit points, what are the odds you're going to take 3 instead of 5 points of damage? I don't
but
know.
I think that's the beauty of it. I think that's exactly what they want. That's exactly what they want you to have to think about. So, hitting 0 is an event. It is a thing, and you can make something of it within the story. Going below 0 is typical, so you still can make something of it. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that's just one of those simplistic ideas that people sometimes will blow out of proportion trying to figure out the logic behind it, as opposed to just embracing it.
But it also does something interesting because when you get to low hit points,
Yeah.
you're almost begging to have something utterly demolish you so that there is no chance of you getting to 0 hit points and you have all these other cool things that can happen. So you have this bizarre flip in what you're rooting for as your character goes down. Like I don't want to, like I have 3 hit points left. I don't want you to roll a 3 for
Well,
damage.
yeah, but it
Like
works the other way.
how's
If
that?
if you're at 0 hit points, you're broken and different things could happen to you. If you're negative, you're officially just dead.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's true. Okay, I flipped that. I'm flipping it in my brain. Okay.
What I'm
Yeah.
wondering is and I would never play a homebrew rule before I played it the way it's written. But I'm
Yeah.
wondering if it wouldn't be cool to say, if you get to 0 or below, you're
We'll just do
broken.
it.
And then if you take more damage while you're in that state, now you're dead. One
See,
of those kind of
Or
I
things.
was flipping it. So yeah, I totally
or I
understand what
could
you're saying.
see. I mean, I could see kind of what you're saying. What I mean, find out. We might need to write the guys who wrote the book, write them a message and see what their official ruling is. But personally, I think the way I would handle it is that first hit. It doesn't matter
Right.
if it takes you below. If they did 15 points of damage, you had 3 hit points. It still just takes you to 0. Boom.
Mhm.
You're just at 0. Now, if they hit you again before you can go into one of those states,
Oh,
you're
go
out of
ahead.
here.
Yeah.
So
Now,
I
I
would,
should say the other thing about it is you roll a d6 when you get to 0. Number 1 is you are just dead. So
Yeah.
there's always a possibility that
That
you're
you
right.
just
gone.
did.
but that and, that, and
But
that and that's a great thing, though. I think that to me that
Yeah.
just puts you on pins and needles even more so because I would love to do that. You know, say,
But
Yeah.
in Pirate Borg, that was the cool thing. It's like, sure, you're dead, but we have an entire book for Pirate Borg to where now
Hmm.
we can figure out what you do after you go to Davy
Yeah.
Jones' locker.
right.
Because that's what I was looking for on my shelf. I don't remember where I
Yeah,
put it
that's
when I redid
awesome.
everything. So you have Davy Jones' locker. Just be like, yeah, you all died. So like if and that's one of the setups for Down Among the Dead is literally you start on a ship and you just throw the kitchen sink at these characters and make sure they all die. Be like, okay, now the campaign's going to start. So like even then, like when you're out, it's like, oh no, that story doesn't necessarily have to be done. We can have all sorts of fun with it. So they have made it kind of interesting. I'm kind of excited by it.
Yeah. That reminds me of Vecna Lives, but let's not go down that road. Okay. um, one thing I wanted to say is like I'm not a big everything's in a table, everything's random kind of guy, except for the Weird,
Okay.
which is my favorite book. But
I
there are a
don't have
lot of
that yet.
places in this book where it's set up like like you choose these things, but also by the way, there's 6 of them and you can roll a d6. There's a lot of options
Hmm.
where like it's up to you whether you want to have the player pick this or just roll. And I think that's really
Hmm.
cool, right? Because um, roll the
Yeah, I love
bones,
any
all
game that
these
has
other,
that
yeah,
type of that type of optionality to it.
yeah.
Well,
Where it's like, yeah, it's here, or you can pick, and that's awesome. Go ahead, Elise.
Oh, no.
I thought you were going to say something. Sorry.
no, I was gonna say I agree with you in that respect. I think with most things, giving the players the option to pick things is always a good thing. But and again, I think that's why session zeros are so important as well. You
Yeah.
know, 'cause then you
Hmm.
set your expectation. A lot of times, I'd love to sit down at the table and have a group of people and we just come together organically and create everything from the ground up.
Hmm.
We don't have any predisposed expectations in the moment. You know, but then other times it's great. Somebody will come to me and say, "Hey, I want to play this kind of character and I want to play in this kind of world." So, okay, you've already established, a baseline of how we're going to handle getting together and doing our characters and so on and so forth. So that's my 2 cents.
Cool.
All right. Um, let's go on. We talked a little bit about the sort of basic pirate worlds and stuff. This game, by default, takes place in the dark Caribbean or
Hmm.
Caribbean. Morkborg people don't come at me with the Caribbean thing. It's okay. I won't say anything. I thought it was a really cool setting, but Elise, what do you think about the setting?
Well, I love it. I mean, the way they define it is it's our world, but it's not our world. It's
Hmm.
pretty much like an alternate history, alternate geography. And it feels very much to me, I don't need a whole lot of explanation. I accept it as given. And I just love, I mean, the maps and the darkness, I know we haven't even talked about ash, but that's a fascinating concept as well, part of the
Hmm.
world. Um,
Yeah, go ahead. That's right in the setting area. So tell us
yeah,
about Ash.
so the ash is the ectoplasmic remains of the undead that can be used as a narcotic. And the way Luke explained it was that it's such a horrible place. Why would you go there unless there was something there that drew you there? Ash is a very marketable substance. It can do a lot of things, and you can make you a lot
Hmm.
of money. So he felt that he had to incorporate this, and it is an interesting aspect. In a one shot though, it's hard to include it. It's so much to give to players already
Mm.
without like, oh, by the way, there's this thing called Ash, where I'd rather get them like playing. So I haven't really done
Yeah.
much with it. It's cool when a player knows what it is and like will incorporate it. Like if they're fighting a skeleton, the skeleton falls apart. He says, "I'm going to grab that Ash," so he knows what that is. So, but I think it's a really interesting alternate world.
Yeah, kind of that part of it that it's hard to add in a one shot reminds me of like Brindlewood Bay, which is this cool murder mystery with grannies, but
I want to play that.
it's also like this mythic horror in the background. That's really hard to bring into a one shot. You just don't
Yeah.
have time.
Yeah.
You just there's a shadow behind there. That's very scary.
It works well as Murder, She Wrote without the gothic horror. It's fine.
But yeah, I can see how Ash would be hard to bring into a 3 or 4 hour session.
But I love, so the setting is interesting because essentially the like the power of the crown or the colonial powers, they're just gone. Like there's remnants hanging on, but they're
Right.
really just figureheads, and it is just a mess. And there's a timeline in the book that kind of explains like where this is going, because the way the Borg works is that the world of the game, it's doomed. It's going to end. It's just a matter of when and where and how. And holy crap, it gets dark. Like
I don't know if you
really,
could,
really dark.
I don't know if you could bring up. Oh, I'm
I
trying
don't want to
show
bring it up because I don't want to give everybody the
Yeah.
information. So I'm looking at
Oh,
the
I
page
see.
right now,
But,
but I don't want to make everybody see it.
It's really cool how you can put together a campaign, just this one page, page 25, a general history of the Dark Caribbean, and you can just go like so many campaigns on this, and you have to read everything because I know I don't want to give stuff away. So, but you have to read everything in there. It's amazing what little things will pop up. It's so much to enjoy in this book.
Yeah, I
Very,
get
very
that
cool.
feeling too. The world is very deep.
Well,
So,
if you look at
like-
if you look at any of the Berg world, any of their books, it's the same thing. The world has these worlds have such phenomenal backstory, or should I say, literary depth, because the backstory, but they just give you the seeds, which again is something from my era, old school gamers. We don't want you to give us every detail. Just give us the big overarching thing so I can build from there.
Yeah.
And if you look at, when you look at this setting, it's not like it's not like other games. The board games are not there. You can't prevent the apocalypse.
Right.
It's happening. It's happening around you. It's not even like you're in the age after the apocalypse and you're rebuilding. No, you're in the middle of it, and there's not a damn thing you can do to make it not happen. So
Yeah.
so what's really cool is like your characters are carving out their own legend as the world dies. They will be the stories that are told in the next age as inspirations, because even though they knew it was dire, even though, he was a self-serving son of a SO, whatever, he basically, did this, and it made possible the world you live in today.
Yeah. I think it's cool because you could play, if you were playing a campaign, right? In other game systems, you might be like, oh, yeah, well, we played in the Caribbean. Let's go see the Horn of Africa. Let's go see Pacific. You never have to leave the Caribbean because every island has so much going on with different factions and aspects and events. It's pretty cool. By the way, that's one of my favorite parts, though, is it's obviously at a fantastic world. I don't know if you guys know, but our world didn't end in the mid-1800s, so the whole apocalypse thing. No. Not then. But
Okay.
no, but I think it's cool because you've got this fantastic world, but there's also, oh yeah, that's Jamaica. That's Nassau.
Right.
That's like these are real places, but
We get to
they're
play in the
multi
multiverse.
freaky. Yeah.
We're in the multiverse, and that's what
Yeah.
and I think, when you look at it, when you look at any good designer, they tend to do that. They tend to figure a way to keep their universe this cohesive, multifaceted ideal, that you're
Yep.
getting to do all of this stuff, because and you're still basically in the same universe of things.
Right.
Very, very cool. No, the setting is one of the highlights of the game. Absolutely.
All right. We've kind of dodged in and out of this. What should we say, can we say about the game mechanics themselves? aside from character creation and such?
Their typical Merkborg game mechanics: simple, fast, straightforward.
Oh
They're
yeah,
you
to step back, we've got we use all the die, including including my favorite, the
Yeah,
D2, which is flipping a coin, which they
exactly.
the
they give you
D2.
in the starter set. It's awesome. But yeah, go
I
ahead,
got
Dean.
one with my Down Among the Dead
Yeah, that's
glitch.
But
awesome.
like I was
You
just
know,
saying, I appreciate the fact that everything is straightforward. It's basically opposing roles versus what percentages you have to overcome and so on and so forth. These things about the system about that just make it sing, because you don't have
hmm
to you're not sitting there doing math or having to figure out quadrant geometry or anything else. You just here quick roll and it's done. you know so
hmm So what I love about it is that the ship combat is on a grid, and then like hand or melee, like character to character combat, it's just like, yeah, just dream about it. That's
Yeah,
all. Like that's
that's
all
cool.
theater of the mind. Like I love how they're like, yeah, it doesn't make sense to have the characters have to be in a grid that slows the thing down. Just fly, be free. But the ships, that makes more sense. So I thought that was really
right.
kind of cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
hmm I love how the game basically has a standard uh, difficulty rating. So it's always just like roll a DR10, roll a DR12. -4 or +4 is going to be to the difficulty rating. So it's always going to go up or down based on in-game
Yeah.
mechanics. So to me, that always just kind of speeds things up. So I'm not looking for a specific stat block. I don't have to find like the line in something. It's just like, no, this is a DR12. Like go,
Exactly.
which I think is the default, right? So
Yeah.
it's really really easy. Again, there's so much in this game mechanically that hits everything that I'm looking for because
Well,
I can
yeah,
sit
just the
down
fact that you
and
step up nice and
run.
step them down.
Yeah.
So, Elise, you've played this game more than, or run this game more than the rest of us. What are
Doesn't
we
make me
mi-
an expert.
What are we missing? What's cool? Or
Well, I think in the mechanics, the devil's luck is really, really important.
oh shoot, yeah.
Um,
Tell us about
Mm,
Devil's Luck. I forgot to bring
well,
that
everybody
up.
starts with one or two, and
I don't think I'm allowed to have
basically
that image on my
you can
channel, but that's okay.
you can turn it in for you can re-roll. You
Yep.
can reduce the difficulty rating. There's a whole list of things that you can do with it. And characters have, oh, and you can of course use it for another character. It surprises me.
Mm-hmm.
You'd think, all these scurvy dog pirates, it's amazing how often people will help each other. So you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
donate a devil's luck to someone. I think if the game didn't have that, there would be a much higher body count, and it'd get frustrating. Um,
Yeah. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
meta currency and sort of like inspiration or luck or XP in Cipher, but you could do. To me, you could do a lot more with it. At least, um, I mean, aside barring player intrusions in Cipher, which theoretically you could do anything you want. There's a lot of options here to what you can do with that.
and there are other aspects that can help you out as well. I already mentioned the sea shanties. Each one, there's a
Yeah.
different thing that can do for it. Also, rum has healing properties. With this
That's
advantage,
awesome.
it will take away your agility a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
rum
that's
is,
realistic. I mean, that's even in our. Oh wait, no, no.
but it can heal. So there's all little things that can kind of help you out. But that devil's luck that's what you can't forget that. And
Yeah.
I will occasionally award it if someone has done some really cool role play or something really cool happened.
Oh yeah,
I will occasionally award it.
that's
So
So
cool.
And
can
I
you
would say,
stockpile? Can you stockpile it? Like, do you only have one at a time? Or you start
one
out
or
with
two,
two, right? One or
One or
yeah.
two.
two.
Okay.
Because people use it so much, never have, they don't stockpile it
Gotcha.
because they keep needing it.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's
Gotcha.
cool.
and I would just like to add to that, like you made the statement about players, giving it, not, hoarding it, but again, makes sense if you think about the aspect of the stories we're telling. You know what? Yeah, you're going to help each other, because we don't know how long we have. it really doesn't matter. It'd be different if I knew I was going to save it for a rainy day and I was going to see another rainy day. But
Mm-hmm.
so I think it goes for that, and I also think it goes for the aspect of the cooperative nature of role playing. Where we are today versus when I first started playing, it was always the GM versus the players.
Yeah.
That was just the
Yeah.
mindset back then. But yeah, so
Good
yeah.
Yeah, I
stuff.
think there are three things I noticed in the general mechanics that are really like nods for old school play OSR players. First of all, your attacks and such are D20, right? But
Yes.
initiative is a D6.
D6.
But what's funny about that is it's a D6 like it was in like AD&D first edition, right?
Mm-hmm.
But not
Mhm.
that way because it's not opposed. It's
Mm-hmm.
you just roll a D6 and 1 to 3 the bad guys go first and 4 to 6 the players go first.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty funny. But you've also got another thing for the old school folks. You've got 2d6 reaction rolls and 2d6 morale rolls,
Yeah.
which
I
a
am
lot of
such a
people will go
fan of reaction
nice.
rolls. I
Yeah,
love reaction roll tables. They are the best.
yeah,
They make me happy.
But see, and that's
That
what I mean, though. That's why it's just I think random tables can be a great tool, for storytelling. And like you said,
mm-hmm.
reaction tables and you know, morale and stuff like that. Those are just some classic things. I mean, we can build it into your NPCs too. Give them bonuses. If you don't want it just to be a flat roll. So
Uh-huh.
mm-hmm.
I do that all the time when I do my morale checks. I'm like, yeah, we'll give him -4, -3, +3, whatever.
hmm
To me, we talk a lot about nowadays of games that take cognitive load off the
Yes,
GM, and like the morale checks and the reaction rolls. Like that was the way that you took some of the cognitive load off of letting the story emerge in the old school. It's
hmm
like I don't know what this guy gonna do. Let me roll on the table. Like okay, so they're ticked off at you,
Yeah,
but
our
then yeah.
yeah,
random encounter charts. Those are those, and I think that's when I first started. I first started loving random encounter charts, and then I don't know if you guys remember when the old critical hit charts came out.
yeah,
Okay.
You wrote a D100, and it gave you what the critical hit did. And then they diversified it. You had blunt weapons, piercing weapons, slashing weapons. So it really became this really cool thing, this storytelling tool. So I didn't always have to go, okay, how am I going to, kill this PC this time?
right,
So,
right.
So
Well,
that's something I like about it, and it keeps it simple, which is good.
and that brings us around to relative to taking the cognitive load off. We have a whole chapter of random generators.
That's awesome.
Ships at sea, derelict ships,
Mm-hmm.
treasures and maps, uncharted islands, pirates, jobs and quests. I mean, you could essentially, I wouldn't probably, but you could run a zero prep adventure with just these tables.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
with the right group. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
here's something else. I don't know about you guys, but I know as a longtime GM, those tables are inspirational to me because
Oh
I
yeah.
Yeah.
might I might roll. Let's just say I rolled three interesting facts,
Mm-hmm.
for a ship or something on the chart. I might end up using two of them. Or I might combine two or all three of them into something else, which that's all I need as a GM. That's most of the time. I just need a stimulant. Here, just here's a little peek, into the insight, and then you can go from there. And I think people who game like that, who like to tell a story and so on and so forth, will definitely gravitate to that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a great point because even if you're not the kind of GM who wants to randomize everything, I want to prep. I'm a high prep GM. Read through this because there's still inspiration, even if you never actually roll on the table. There are
hmm
treasure ideas that you wouldn't have thought of without that.
Yeah, I would. Some of these things I would have never thought of in a million years, but it's there. I'm gonna figure out what this does today. There we go.
Yeah.
For me, I had brought up the Uncharted Islands spread for the visual in the background. To me, that's cool because we're just gonna sail west. I'm like, I don't know what's out there. Let's just make it an
Yeah,
island really
yeah.
quick, and there we go, and it's right there. It's very very cool.
I
Stuff
like
like that makes me
the
happy.
treasure map page, and there are like 6 different tables within it, but they all assume that there's invisible ink on your treasure map, and you just have to reveal it a different way.
Yeah.
Because of course there is.
Hey, pour the rum on the pour rum on the map. You know,
But it
put a
tells
flame
you, like,
behind
it
it.
gives you icons to. I don't want to put the spread out because again, I don't
Yeah,
know
the
the entire
icons
book,
is awesome.
but it gives you the icons to put on the map because it's not just roll the thing. It's like, and now make the map and hand it to them. So there you go.
Right.
It's very very cool, and they give you riddles for how like what's on the thing. It's really a neat setup. They did
So,
a good job.
Elise, when you've played this at a con, you probably played a pre-written adventure, right? Whether
Yes, yeah.
okay, did you use these tables at the table a lot, or is this sort of what
Not
you would use in your prep?
not really. I was glad they were there, but I pretty much keep close to the modules as they're written because I want to make sure that I give the best experience I can to the table. And
Sure.
again, like 3-4 hours, uh, I just try to be, really, really careful to. I've never had anything where like I've had dead space. Oh, I need to fill with something. Let me go to a random. I've never had to do that. I mean, it just,
Yeah, that's
there's a
true.
lot of repartee. There's a lot of discussion goes on, and I try to keep things moving, but I've never had like empty space.
So at
That's
least
true.
when you run it, do do you find people find it real easy to get into character? Like, are they trying to do like Pirates of the Caribbean? Like, what's the
Well, and
people's
I always tell
experience?
people like just be do what feels good to you, and
Mm,
no
Okay.
one can keep a pirate accent for very long.
yeah.
No. Oh no. Gosh, no. Yeah.
But I let people play how they want to, and if they say my character does this, that sort of thing, or
Okay.
thing, or some people get into character a little bit just to give you the sense. It's just people will do what as long as they know they're in a safe place to
Yeah.
roll things out how they want to. That's what I try and let them know. They should be free to,
But
you
do
know.
they find it? However, they're getting into character because people do different things, right? Do you find it because the pirate aesthetic is so popular and it's so ingrained in so much of, especially geek culture? Is it almost easier for the folks to get into it? Because you've run other systems, like compared to
Oh,
like
I
some of
think
the other
so.
games you run.
Yeah, yeah. Especially when they roll up, their character might be, might have scurvy or a strange rash or a missing, they have a peg leg. So they'll latch onto
Mm,
that as their kind of how they act on it. I think it does make it very easy. Yeah.
Cool.
that's cool.
That's what I was hoping to hear. So,
Now,
thanks, Elise. You're
speaking of
awesome.
adventures, we have one adventure kind of in this book. I'm going to try to not say anything until, or I'm going to go last.
Okay.
Uh, there is an adventure called The Curse of Skeleton Point.
Is it an
So
adventure or more like a mini campaign?
that's why I'm
Both.
not going to say anything. So,
Okay.
Elise, first, since you've run stuff, did you ever run this or parts
Yes.
of this? Okay,
Yes.
then you have to go first. I'm sorry, but
We'll just sit back and just
yeah,
relax.
Well, I don't want to give too much away. It's
that's
Don't
true.
give
We'll try to be.
You have to
Yeah,
describe the entire adventure without giving away any of the plot points.
yeah. Well,
it's it's a dungeon crawl, but on an island and in a castle.
yeah.
And there's some interesting dynamics with the characters that there's a lot like that's unclear to the players as to what's actually happening. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want to give too much away because obviously, because hoping you'll play it at some point.
Right.
I found it to be a little bit of a challenge, but it was fun. And that ship that's stuck on top of the
That's
castle
really
turret,
there.
that's so cool. That is my favorite part of the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
I think my favorite part of the whole setting is that like when something gets killed, so if you like kill dinner, it comes back to life at night.
Yeah.
So everybody just accepts the fact that you have to kill your dinner twice, which is literally explained in the setting guide. Which is, I'm not giving any of the plot at that, but that's like who thinks of something like that? That's insane. I
Um,
love that.
I don't know if
Yep.
you guys were familiar with the old D&D Razor Coast during the third edition 3.5, but Razor Coast was basically their uh, pirates of
Yeah.
pirates setting, and that's actually a trope that was actually implemented way back there in Razor Coast with the
Oh,
killing.
really?
Yes, yes, you had to, things that you kill will come back to life that night on this one particular island. So, yeah,
I
it's
love it.
been, you know, but as far as this adventure, or I look at it more like a mini setting, that it's a mini opening campaign. It's like all the roots you need for
Yeah.
a good campaign. If you wanted to do and see, the way I look at campaign, I don't even look at campaigns the way I used to. So, but that's another story. But my thing is, if you looked at this as a single story arc, you had everything you need to run your players, through quite a few advancements. Um, and I just, like I said, I look at, when I sit down to game and tell these stories and so on and so forth. That's what I'm looking at, to try to tell a self-contained story. Whether it's going to take, whether it's going to take 10 sessions, or we're going to do it in 3 hours, 3 or 4 hours. But that's
Right.
the thought process, and I think this particular, uh, again, adventure, whatever you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
is the perfect segue into being able to do that, because you can take different pieces, different places. Like, at least was talking about the ship up on the wall, or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, or you could tell Coral Town, or the jungle, and tell complete stories right in those areas that would
Right.
be so cool. So
And
that's it.
it works really well as an introductory campaign. I think there's some really good NPCs. I think there's a couple of really good adventures that are in it, and the maps are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Where's the ship to ship combat? Like,
Right.
that was weird to me. Is to have Pirate Borg have what we've already highlighted. The ship to ship combat is really, really cool. It's weird that it's not included in this starting adventure at all. So
But
that almost would be the way that you should introduce the characters to the island, is to like put them in ship to ship combat, and they kind of like have to land at
Yeah.
this place to get settled.
I mean,
So
think
that was the
about,
one thing I was missing.
and Wes, I can see that. I didn't even think about that, but that is a very good point. But your opening, put them on ship to ship combat, break the ships apart, let some rivals from the other faction that they were fighting, let them survive, and they can become antagonists, and so on and so forth from the island. Now you still got that conflict going on, but now you got a broader story to tell. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
look at that. We just opened the adventure. Everybody, you got your starting game.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
Wes.
There we go. So, Elise, when are you running this for us?
Well, I'll be running at EcclesiaCon, and I will be including ship-to-ship combat in this one, because I feel like I have
Awesome.
enough time
Yeah.
to do
I'm coming
that.
to take pictures. So people are excited. I think you're
And also
sold
the
out,
starter
too.
set has these beautiful maps that, so exactly what I needed to do some Nautica ship-to-ship. So
When
The-
is the EcclesiaCon taking place?
Next weekend.
This coming weekend, May 1st and 2nd, Palmyra, New Jersey. Link is scrolling on the bottom of the screen right now. I keep
Such
trying
a
to
fun
get you
time.
down for it, Dean. I
No,
try to get you down for it.
again, like I said, and my son is right there in Philly, but
Yeah.
I know. Well, he's got to come over.
I'll tell him.
I can't. Get him over here. I love meeting him when he was.
I'll tell him to
There
come
you
over
go.
and represent. I'll tell him to go represent for a little while, but
Nice.
Yeah,
no,
he's a good guy.
He's a good kid. Yeah, I know I'm blessed. Yeah, I got a great
Mhm.
son. You know, uh,
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he'll
Very
get
good.
maybe he'll drag his girlfriend over with him this time.
Hey, I need players. Let's go. Let's, can't play Pirate Burg though. Elise is sold out.
Yeah.
Is it?
So
Yeah,
yeah. Oh yeah.
cool.
I
Yeah, I
wish
like.
Jason, go ahead. I'm taking over your
I
conversation.
wish I had this all set up because I would have been there to run the September at Legacy. Doggone it.
That's true.
Well, you got next year, man.
Next year.
Yeah.
Well, you've got one. What's the one that's not Page? That's coming up at the end of May.
Concoction.
Yeah, Concoction. You can do that.
I
Although
got
that may,
It's a busy-
I think that's full for games already. But
Yeah, that's locked down right
but,
now.
but see, you guys
So,
don't know me. I'll find me a little spot
yeah,
outside
right.
and have a bear. What is that? Oh, you want to play? Here, I'm
You could
doing
do
that.
it. Wes runs games at the airport. If you want to do that, that would work.
I run games at the airport. I have run a game at an airport.
Yeah, so have
It was
I.
a great time.
Couple.
Oh, it was awesome. It was so much fun.
Yeah. So this adventure is one of the most sandboxy of sandboxes I've seen.
Yes.
I think, like when Wes said, it would be a great intro to the setting and the story. This would be epically hard to run for a new GM. I think there's just what's supposed to happen next.
Yeah.
But I think for
Okay.
new players it would work great, just not for a new GM. But I don't think it's supposed to really. So
You don't
right.
think it would be
I
like?
don't-
Why would you
I
think it would
don't
be
think-
hard for a new GM?
because it's not obvious what's supposed to happen for a new
Yeah.
GM, the more linear you are, the better.
I
Generally
don't know
That's
because
true for me,
B2 was the most
You got- no.
non-linear.
Wes, you can't.
What?
You can't say that. That's a different time. That was a different era.
No, B2 is true but there's stuff going on here. B2
Right.
is just a random, like, which door do you want to open and see whether you fight an ogre or a goblin. That was all there was.
Yeah,
There wasn't
but
any,
Also,
you weren't
there was
missing
also
anything.
There was also the exploration areas around the keep.
But you're talking about a different time, Wes. And
I
I
know.
don't try to take from anybody, but we just didn't have the same, the same approach.
Okay.
I know when they first gave me D&D, when my brother brought D&D home and sat me down and wrote up a character and ran me through that first adventure, and I will never forget my character's name was Regnox Spilding. He was a 4-foot tall dwarf, and his issue was that he couldn't grow a beard. He had a mustache, but he couldn't grow a beard.
Oh boy.
Never forget it. Blew my little brain to pieces. The following year, I was running games.
Yeah.
And it's like it wasn't that, and I was a new GM. It wasn't like I had my brother hold my hand, but it was just any game we got, we had to kind of build from this meta universe that they gave us, or this overarching, what you call it, framework. So,
Yeah.
this sings to us, whereas like I see what Jason is saying, especially like new people coming in, they come from a video game era. They're used to
Okay.
being given,
I don't think it's that so much as so. To flash back for those of you who weren't, B2, Keeping the Borderlands, best-selling module ever because it came with the basic set all through the
Yeah.
80s. But the trick to B2, it wasn't really an adventure. It was a keyed map. That's all there was. I opened the door and the DM reads what you're fighting against, and that's almost all of.
And they didn't even name the NPCs in the keep. They
We-
just told you how much
The keep was
character they had.
completely it didn't matter who they were, but that was Gary Gygax. The bartender was bartender.
You want to hear what's funny about that? And you might be, I don't know if we ever recorded it, but Spigs over on the CU did Keep on the Borderlands, and it was the best game, one of the best games I ever played because he filled in all of those blanks.
That was kind of the point, right?
Yeah, he filled in all.
That's
those
what he
blanks.
thought. Yeah,
And the characters, so we all had characters. It was like, our characters felt like we were D&D characters only using the cipher system,
right.
which was really, it was really cool because, just little things, renaming, a onslaught attack to magic missile,
Yeah.
just
That's what
little
it is.
things, made it
Right.
work.
So here's my interesting thing for this. because I'm intrigued by this. And again, I have read so many different games, so I'm not the core. I'm not who you're talking about. What is it about the setup that doesn't work for a new character? Is it that there's too many factions? Is it that there's no
Well,
clear? Is it there's no clear advice for the GM on how to introduce the characters to the factions? Like, what do you see here?
I think there's more going on here than in a module like Keep on the Borderlands. And the way to make that come to life might not be that easy to understand. I don't know. I mean, like, I haven't run it either, so maybe it's more obvious than I read it.
And I'll say this too, in defense of it not necessarily being too difficult for a new GM. The people who are going to play this game are a specific type of people. These are people who are into storytelling. These are people who are into minimalist ideas of mechanics and so on and so forth. So
Okay.
I don't think they're going to necessarily need as much hand holding as say someone
yeah.
say someone who was coming from a simulation style game.
Right.
Because in the simulation style game, you're looking for the pathway from point B to point, E. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
in a narrative game, we're going, okay, we got 17 points. Guess what? I'm going to start at point 3 and I'll meet you over point 7. We'll get to 1 eventually, but let's go over to 14 and check that out because you because you're
It's yeah.
already telling a story. You're
Mm-hmm.
there to tell a story versus play a game.
Yeah.
Right.
Elise, what do you think? I mean,
Well, I
because you would
think for
agree with
me,
Jason.
what was looked a little challenging to me was there are many options that the players can take if you look at this whole thing. They
Okay.
can go to Coral Town. They can go to I have all the different little places there, but there's different places they can go. You have to be ready for whatever they choose, which was why I focused on Skeleton Point, just getting them there.
Okay.
Because
Now I'm
otherwise I
seeing
was
what you.
I was
Okay.
concerned that I may not have everything together because I like to have maps printed out. I like to have some visuals. So as a new DM, that was the challenge for me. Also,
Gotcha.
there are so many colorful and interesting NPCs. The GM has to kind of try to pretend to be them. That can be challenging too.
Okay, I'm beginning to when Jason's saying too much going on, I think the way you just explained it, there's the players can go anywhere and the GM's got to be prepared for all eventualities.
Yeah.
So now I'm understanding what you're saying there. So I kind of get this.
If I have to
So
relate it to 5e, and I don't, but I'm
please
going to,
don't.
I think this is more like Storm King's Thunder or Ravenloft than it is like Out of the Abyss. So it is much more of a, I don't know what the PCs are going to do, so they can do whatever they want. It's very sandboxy.
Right.
And that's not a complaint. I love
No.
this, and this was
Oh, yeah.
not actually explicitly written for new GMs.
Mm-hmm,
If you want to know what to do, come on Wesley's channel, ask us for new GMs. We'll tell you the modules to rent. There's nothing wrong with it.
I mean, think about it, and that's the truth of the matter is, you got to think about it. Most people who are picking up Pirate Borg
You're right.
have
Yeah.
played all the Borg, and they understand the minute you see Borg, you're talking about some messed up, deep-rooted, apocalyptic shit that what in the world is happening?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Wes, we're running out of time. Did you want to show the starter set? Just pictures of it?
Sure,
or-
if you want to. Why don't you put your PDF
Can I
and
share my
I'll add it to the
screen?
screen. Yeah, go ahead and share your screen and I'll get it up on there.
Let's see. Details book load. Let's see which window, because I have 75 of them open.
Sounds like me.
Window Pirate Borg. There we go.
And for folks, this is all my fault. I was supposed to set up a slideshow, and I was like, oh, I forgot about that because I took a nap this afternoon.
No,
So
it's
we're gonna
it's
add
a
this
new
out.
feature on the TTRPG book club. We haven't done
There
this
you go.
before.
This is new.
So this is not. We reviewed the core set. This is different. It's the starter set. I think Elise, you said you have this too, right?
Yes. Yeah.
It's a box set, which is, well, all right. Spoiler alert. It's awesome. This is a picture of the
I
box.
need to get this.
This is the inside box cover, and there's PDFs of this too, but this is basically all the rules you need to run the game right here. You could just like stand that up as your GM screen and basically run the game. So here's a picture. This poster map here, see in the background, this is 18 by 24 when you unfold it, and there are, I think, 5 of them that are all different.
Yeah.
This is kind of a shot of a lot of what you get in the box. You get 2 books, the Player's Guidebook and Trapped in the Tropics, which is a different adventure, which we're not going to review today because we're going to run out of time. I should say, these are my photos. This is courtesy of Limithron. This is from their website.
From their press kit. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Right, I didn't steal them. So you can see another map in the background. You've got a whole bunch of cards. All the little discs that we're looking at are these really like almost 1/8 thick cardboard pieces that you pop out. Really cool.
I like that they want the POG
what's
style
the-
tokens.
Yeah.
What's the price?
I think it's like $50.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's for the content you get. It is.
But there's so
It's
much
worth
physical
that
stuff.
price.
It's not like you're just getting a couple of books. And you can see even the maps look different, right? Like here you've got sort of a painterly top down of the beach. And then here you've got the actual like kind of piratey looking map. And these are all different poster maps. And they're two-sided too, so we're not going to see everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
But see, that's just the only reason I asked that question is because you're talking about everything that you get in there, but
Yeah.
this is more. They call it a starter set, but the way I see it, because the Mortboard rule book anyway
Yeah.
is only 160 pages. So
Right.
giving you this is more of a this is a starter set. This is so you can really immerse yourself from day one
Yeah.
into this realm. So I got to pick up a copy.
And you could use these forever, right? Not just like your first couple of sessions. Because here you've got an
Seriously.
overshot of the ship. So you're doing ship-to-ship combat. You move your little player tokens around where you are on the ship. This one, do we get a shot? Yeah, okay. That's another cool art. Here's the sheet that you get, and all these things pop out. So you've got tokens for the ships, the characters, the bad guys. This is not even all the cards. There's tons of them. And this is the set of dice that you get. See the circle over in the top left there? That's the 2-sided die. So that's that's when it doesn't go your way. You get the skull. Although the skull shows up on the 1 of the D20 too.
I see it there.
1356. That's cool. Okay, so character sheets. You get a pad of paper character sheets, but you also get on the left, these are maybe they're wet erase. I haven't tried them yet. Wet/dry erase character sheets with the pens. So you can keep reusing them over and over again.
Which you might be doing.
Yeah. You might be doing for that reason, or maybe you're just in a con and you're letting people make up their own characters. Oh, that's the end. So I will stop sharing.
All right. Awesome. That is a ton of content. I keep wanting to pick that up.
It's a lot of
I'm
physical
definitely
stuff.
gonna definitely get a copy of it. That's very nice.
So, and the player's book is. Where did everybody go? Did I lose? It's soloed again. Oh, your screen share popped back on. The player's book in there, is that basically just the player character creation? Like, Elise, you had the book, right? Is it just the player creation roles, or what's in there for it?
Actually, I haven't. I have the main core book, so I haven't actually looked at the player book.
I
Oh,
think
okay.
I'll have to flip through it again. I think it's character creation, but it's also the basic rules, like so enough
Yeah.
that you understand.
It's everything that a player would need, so I'm sure there must be character creation in it.
Yeah,
it'd
there's
be
definitely
interesting to see
character
what's
creation.
missing. So, it'd be interesting to see what's missing from the core book. Like the random generators, I guess, are probably not going to be in the starter set, but
Exactly. Yeah, and then the adventure, which takes up 30 pages or something.
that's a good chunk of the back of the book. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
very nicely done, and it is $50 on Limithron.
nice.
Yippers!
Yeah, I mean,
It's one of those.
if you've been
rare
around a
occasions-
while, you might go, "Oh my God, $50." But that's less than what the big companies are charging for their single books now. And
Yeah.
look at how much stuff is in there, just physical. Like
It's
You're
printing a
literally
book is easy compared to all these
you're
tokens
literally
and
getting everything that's in the book and
yeah,
everything you need. Like I said, I'm an old fashioned GM, so I like imagery. I like
yeah.
uh-huh.
maps and to
Yeah.
throw those things out. Not that I even care about doing proper mapping distances and all of that. I just like that extra piece of let's go into the world. Let's
Mm-hmm.
explore. So $50 is definitely worth it to me.
Awesome. Yeah, and it is one of those rare occasions where the starter set is more expensive than the core book because the core
Yes.
book's only $37 right now.
Right.
So
Yeah, because the starter set might be a misnomer. It's more like the big set.
it's more
That's
like a
what I'm saying.
campaign
It's
book.
like,
Yeah.
they call it a starter set, but it's actually, yeah, this is everything you need to run a campaign forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not quite Dragon Bane because it's not the full rule book in the set, but it's pretty dang close. And
Yeah.
all those tokens and the maps and
But it's also the
awesome.
same rules. It's not like a basic version of the whole
Correct.
of
It's
the
not
core
pared
set.
down. It's the actual rules. Yep. Very good stuff.
All
Something
right.
that I still want to get.
Should we wrap this up? We go around the room and everybody throw out one thing we forgot to talk about.
Absolutely. Go right ahead. What do we know? What do you want us to talk about?
Me? You know what?
You're
I
in
went
charge.
last the first time, so now I'm going to go first and say I'll bring up something minor that I didn't mention before, I think.
Okay.
Um, gaining experience,
Mm.
which is interesting because you kind of don't gain levels or tiers or
Right.
anything like that, but
Mm-hmm.
you get experience and you get new stuff with it. So it's like a level without having a level number associated with it.
Yeah. And you do it right within the session.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's what some people might call milestone, but it's not. It's GM fiat. But milestone, theoretically anyway, should mean, hey, if you get to here, you're going to get this. But you don't. It's more like you guys accomplished a lot today. Here's your XP, which honestly is the way
That's
a lot
cool.
of people
Well, you
that
get a few. There's a list of things that you get.
yeah,
You get to
yeah,
pick another ritual or spell, and you roll like a hit
Mm-hmm.
die kind of thing.
yeah.
So
But I think
But
that's cool
So
because
at
it's
least
the way
running
a
it at
lot of
conventions,
people.
how's
No, go
like
ahead.
at
I
least
was
when you're
done.
running at the game and running at the convention, like how much have you leveled up characters in the middle of session? Has it happened?
yeah, once. I
Okay,
usually
cool.
like right before. I usually like I try to get them used to the way the combat works and
Mm-hmm.
do easy skill tests. So we get the and then of initial combat, and then I level them up because there's going to be the baddies are going to get harder. So you know,
Okay.
if they've done something that's kind of I think is good, it's only a 3 or 4 hour session. Let's make it worth it.
Right.
Absolutely. Cool. Sorry, Jay, I cut you off.
I was gonna say that that whole thing is brilliant in the sense that I would use it in a game, especially at a convention, to give people just so people could see how it works and make it part of the story.
Yeah.
You think like you said, you got a new ritual. Okay, well, let them be encounter something. They get past this massive whatever obstacle, and you notice the runes, or the
Right.
levels for the ritual. Here's your XP. Now you know this ritual. And you
Okay.
just add it into the story. I think that's a brilliant way to use it.
Yeah. Well, if you're running at a con and you're going to take a break halfway through, you can just say, well, if your character lives that long, you can
Yeah.
level up at the break.
Yeah, that's a milestone. Hey, that's a milestone.
It is a milestone. You survived until we went to the bio break. It's good times.
All
So
right. Dean, did we miss anything that you want to shout out?
No, not really. I mean, we talked about all the cool aspects. I'm a
We did.
storyteller, so I don't. I'm at that point now where the less we have to talk about mechanics or anything like that, the better. And I think we covered all
Nice.
the narrative ideas that come out of this. Um,
Mm.
I think the only next thing we need to do is figure out when Elise is going to run a game and we can all play.
All right.
There we go. We're all in.
Elise,
Elise
did
is
we
going to
miss
be an
anything?
online GM.
Yeah.
Um, I think the only thing we didn't really talk about is the carousing mechanic, which I think is really cool.
Okay.
Um, and that is basically you're spending time having fun, usually in a tavern or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes with the drinking the rum and the grog. And there's a table that's in here that you roll, and it sort of tells you what happens when you carouse. So it's not the shadow dark carousing, but it's just like a fun thing. The other thing I wanted to point out is the virtual tables for Pirate Borg are really good. The Foundry is a fantastic.
Oh, good point.
So I wish I had the sophisticated ability to do that. I would run this online too, but I've seen it. It's amazing. So that's
Good point. I
We'll
hadn't thought
get
about
you set up,
VGT.
Elise. Get you set up. Be good times. So,
Wes, what did we miss?
I don't think we've missed much of anything. I do think that the bestiary is really, really good.
It is.
With just these normal things that just went dink and just went off in another direction. Dire crocodiles are just terrible. I love that they broke up the bestiary into different biomes.
Yeah, I thought
So,
that's
like,
interesting. They're broken up so if like terrestrial, if they walk, fly, or swim,
Yep,
they group
basically.
together.
I don't
Yep.
know who Grimwood. I don't know who Grimwood Games is, but they said again, I will run it for y'all.
That's Dave Ward.
That's
cool.
Dave. That's Dave
Yeah.
Ward.
He tagged in,
he
Elise.
played
He's going.
Dean. That's the guy who ran our the fundraiser we were on. Dave. He
Oh, okay,
he
Dave,
played
yeah,
the barbarian who ended
yeah,
up in the tea
yeah,
party.
yeah. I
Yeah,
remember.
that was him. And Dave does what he will run it for us. Yes,
All right.
which would be good. Awesome. All right. So we have not announced what we're going to do for our next book.
Is that a question?
No, I mean we have not. We have not announced that.
We have not
correct?
announced.
So,
So jump on Wes's Ko-fi so you can get on his Discord and lobby us for our next book.
and we will be having a vote, so you can join the I don't have the link to join. I'm terrible. I'll put it in the link in the description below. But you can join the coffee contributors for DMTales. You can get on the Discord. That is where we vote for the next book and have some discussion about the book in it. I am pitching one. This is the one I want.
What is it?
This is Project Sunflower.
Oh, we
not-
talked about
But
this before.
so
I think
we
it's
talked
due.
about this before.
I know
So
none of
I
this
think it would
book.
be a good one to do.
I'm
But I
okay
am
with
not,
that.
But I am not in charge. This is a club, so I am pushing for. And also, Wiki Snappers in the chat. So I want to make sure we can shout him out because he wrote this. So I am not in charge. So this is what I'm pushing for. But if you've got another game you're itching to play and we all have to read it,
Yep.
come on, go and do it. And Grimwood Games does say he will run it for us. But so please join the Coffee Contributors and become part of the book club, and we will have a blast. And EcclesiaCon May 1st and 2nd at Palmyra, New Jersey. The link is scrolling by the bottom of the screen, along with Crit, the community-run Infinite Tabletop, which is online convention, kind of like CypherCon, Dean, and Concoction at the end of May. Really awesome stuff. So, and Dean's son is going to come.
I work on it, man. I can't tell. He's a grown man. So my son is a 35-year-old grown man. He will make the decision to go. I'm going to put it in his ear, but
We're
So
just
don't
going
get
to
me in
clip
trouble.
this and just send it to him. And he, like, here, Dean's son's good. So, thank you. I took over. Go ahead, Jason. You finish it up.
All right. Well, that is everything for Pirate Borg. Now you are officially pirates. Put on your eye patch and go out into the world and say "arg" at the end of every sentence.
I guess we should have timed this for National Talk Like a Pirate Day.
That's not till September, though. We'll just rerun it. That way we'll have a month off.
We'll rerun it. We'll do Down Among the Dead for that.
Yeah.
That'll be fine. So, very good. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you all for coming on. Dean, thank you for dropping on. Elise, you're amazing. You have great insights. I'm
Thank
really
you.
grateful that you came on stream. I've been trying to pull you on for a while, so I'm glad that
It
you actually came.
was fun. Thank
And
you.
Jason, well, you're awesome. Also, you dress
Yeah.
better than any of us. So, like
You want
you're
to set
like
the
dressed
bar
like
that
what I look.
high, Wes? I don't know.
I like she's dressed like you're wearing a hobbit, you know,
Yes,
Deeds in the forest
I got it from
somewhere. I'm
Chet
wearing a
yesterday.
dragon.
Oh, I mean, I got my darkest wood shirt on.
Yeah, and Elise is ready to go out for dinner.
I got
So
a pirate thing.
that's
And
you're awesome. Very, very good. No, it's I'm really glad that you were coming on. I'm so glad you're going to be at EcclesiaCon. Your third one. You're a three timer.
Wow.
Yeah.
So she's been to all three of them. So that was coming up the end of the month, or end of the week. And I'm really tired. So what we're going to do is I'm going to keep you guys online. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody, and I'll close the stream. And you stay here so that I can say thank you off stream. So thank you, everybody. Say goodbye to all the wonderful audience. Nobody said thank you, goodbye to all the wonderful audience. That's
I
okay.
waved.
That's
Yeah, that's all
fine.
you get. We're out of words.
All right, guys. All right, guys, that was amazing. The Discord is filled with really cool people like that. Hopefully, we're going to get a rotating folks who come on to the panel like this. I may only be producing at some point because a lot of folks might be wanting to talk about a game, and I'll just pop off and let them go, and I'll pop on because I control things. But yeah, coming up on channel, this is going to be a light week because EcclesiaCon is at the end of the week. I am working on Random Thoughts. I got to really get on my Coriolis the Great Dark review because that game is really, really amazing. And I got some other stuff I need to review for it. And then just expect some interviews and things coming from EcclesiaCon next week. It should be a lot of fun. Lisa's going to be there. I know Dave from Grimwood Games is going to be there. I know that Ron and Phil from Page are going to be there. Chen Minton is going to be there. Pinebox Entertainment or Pinebox Games is going to be there. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. So if you're able to come down, we're raising money for booksmiles.org and for the roof replacement loan at my church. We only take a quarter of it because I'm a terrible fundraiser for the church. We're giving 3/4 to Booksmiles. Would love to have you. And until we see each other again, folks, happy playing, everyone.